compute layer of Snowflake is also known as the warehouse, and it is the only way to access data from the storage layer. So in the previous lecture, we have seen how Snowflake is storing the data. So it grouped that in the physical as well as the logical structure. But if you want to access any kind of data or you want to load the data into Snowflake, compute layer is the only way you can talk to the storage layer. And in this diagram, you can see three different, warehouses, virtual warehouse. So you can add as many warehouse you want. Okay, by default, the limit is 10, and I believe you can increase that on request. But I think 10 are good enough to run your application on Snowflake. And you can horizontally and vertically scale your warehouse. You can change the size of your warehouse and you can add multiple nodes in the same warehouse. Snowflake offer various sizing options as you can see on the screen. So we have X small, which is the smallest unit of your warehouse, and it has only one server running per cluster. We talk about the pricing in a minute, but for now you can see the different sizes available by Snowflake. You can choose whatever size is going to fit in, and you can resize the size of your warehouse on demand. So if you provision for X small, and if you think your workload is going to consume more CPU and more processing power, then you can resize from X small to large. And you can also add more servers to your cluster. For example, if you have, let's say, provision for, let's say, 4x small, right? And you want to auto scale, you want to add, let's say, maximum of 10 nodes in your cluster, then you can do the auto scaling. All these auto scale features and how we can do the resizing, we are going to cover that in our lab. But for now, just for the reference, these are the different sizes options available. And quickly looking at this pricing option, how Snowflake pricing work. So Snowflake charge on the base of credit. So if you're going to use X small for an hour, you are going to be charged for 1 credit, right? And if you're going for, let's say, large, you are going to be charged for 8 credit. And 1 credit cost as per the different edition you are working on. So for standard, cost of 1 credit is $2.2. For enterprise, it is 3.3, and for business critical, it is $4.4 per hour. Sorry, not per hour, but per credit. And credit per hour is your burn cost for your Snowflake resources. Again, so we are going to see that in action in our lab, that how we can resize and auto scale. Now, another thing to note is every warehouse work independently of each other. What it means is if you are, let me give an example. Let's say I have two workload. In one workload, I am loading a data into Snowflake, and in workload 2, I have some data queries running against my Snowflake tables. But I don't want to make any impact on my data load because of the queries which my users would be performing at the same time. So in that case, what I am going to do is I am going to create two different warehouse. In one warehouse, I am going to perform only data load. Okay. So whatever data loads I'm going to perform will be run by and the process by warehouse 1, and my workload 2, which is going to cater all the data queries, will be managed by my warehouse 3 in this example. So in this case, irrespective of how many resource my data query is required, it is, let's say I have a bottleneck of my CPU and the processing power of this warehouse 3, but it is not going to impact the data load. So in this way, I can separate different warehouse for different workloads. So that's again one of the beauty of Snowflake. To optimize the cost, Snowflake also offer one feature that you can auto suspend when there is no processing happening on your warehouse. So if your warehouse is idle, then you can auto suspend that. So by default, the minimum time is 5 minutes, and I think you can go to hours. So this is how you can save some cost. Again, we are going to see that in more action in the lab. So in our next lecture, we are going to cover the service layer. So I'll see you there. Thank you.